DYOR, do your own research. I want to go through exactly what that means in 5 tips for you today of how you can start investing in cryptocurrencies. Pure basics. Number 1, information diet. Now, wait a second. You said that you're going to give me 5 tips on how to invest, but you're telling me about something that's dieting, meaning cutting something out. Absolutely 100%. There is so much information out there that if all you do is consume from this source and that source, from this article and this publisher and this influencer, you're going to be overwhelmed, right? And it's paralysis by analysis. I want you to avoid that completely. So here's what you do. Stop believing what mainstream media tells you. That's first and foremost. Mainstream media is not in the business of having you invest into cryptocurrencies. That's not what they do. Their narrative right now that sells, the most clickbait that they can get is spinning negative stories about crypto. So you follow certain things they say, you're always going to be scared, you're always going to be hesitant, and you're not going to be in something completely and learn it because you're always worried and fearful. Now, when it comes to picking influencers, here's what I suggest. You're going to pick 2 influencers, all right? And here's a criteria, very important criteria that you need to hear. You need to pick influencers that have seen at least 1 bear market and 1 bull market. What does that mean? Well, first of all, you need someone that's seen the ups and the downs in these cycles. Someone who's actually experienced at least 1 full cycle where things have gone up and down both. Because 2020 and 2021 was a great example of many influencers popping up that were riding the hype train. And they were getting lots of views and lots of subscribers, and I don't see them around anymore. Reason being is because there was just so much hype and positive attention towards anyone speaking about crypto. And the same thing went for stock markets and SPACs within stocks, right? Which is a very specific vehicle within stock markets. But it was all about this building wave and tsunami that was coming through on positivity, and we're going to the moon. But when everything flipped and crashed down, those same people had not experienced previous cycles. They didn't know how to get through this bear market or downturn. They don't have the tips for you to actually handle mentally and emotionally what to do when it comes to a down market. And then on top of that, what do you do with a portfolio? If you've never been through one yourself, how do you help anybody else? 2 examples, perfect examples of those who have survived multiple cycles is actually Call the Moon and Crypto. 2 of my favorites. Number 2, exchanges. You need 2 exchanges. Well, first of all, what are exchanges? Exchanges are the places you go to buy your crypto assets, period. Okay, so you take your fiat money, your paper money, you transfer that over into this account, and then from the fiat money, you then transfer it or actually buy the crypto assets that you want, and it can sit there and be held, or it can be moved out. Now, why do I say 2 exchanges? You always want to have safety in terms of if one account is shut down, frozen, or something happens, but it's also good because it spreads out your funds. And so if you have $1,000, if you have $500 or whatever it is, and you're just trying to learn, you don't want to keep everything into one account and then something happens. Okay, so it's just good to keep it apart. And on top of that, it's good for you to separate it. So if you do make a mistake, which is very normal in the beginning, you're not playing with your entire capital. You've kind of spread that out. 2 exchanges I use or have used in the past is Coinbase. Now, Coinbase is great because it has IPO'd in the United States, which means that it's gone public, which means that it's been audited extensively. It has to send in all kinds of reports. It's part of the regulation that comes under the stock market. So if there's any regulatory oversight, it's definitely Coinbase. So it's one of the safest places to go. Now, when I say safe, doesn't mean it's 100,000% safe and nothing could ever happen. But, you know, in the scheme of all the other exchanges, it is based in the United States and it does have oversight. So that is a plus. The one that I like to use is Crypto.com. We've also purchased Staples Center in Los Angeles, which now is the Crypto.com arena. But I like them because they have a very great user interface, great user experience. But here's the problem for those of you who love desktop. It is mobile only. That works for me. It may not work for you. So see if that plays out. If you can handle mobile only, it is seamless. It does work great. And it is something that I use exclusively as of now. All right. Now, why else do you want an exchange? I mentioned the fact that something happens to one account, that's fine. But you want to have it just to experience all the learnings you can when you're just starting. And the exchanges allow you to do that. Now, here's the thing. There's a lot of bells and whistles when it comes to exchanges. They go through staking, they'll go through their credit card stuff, they'll go through all kind of academy stuff. Keep it very simple. All right. All I want you to do, we're going to go through 3 things that I want you to know. How to track coins. In the beginning, I would only track Bitcoin and ETH. That's it. Don't worry about the plethora of other coins and tokens and projects out there. It's way too much in the beginning. You understand Bitcoin, you understand ETH, you will understand how the entire market moves. Second thing you're going to learn is how to set up deposits. What do I mean by deposits? Is you got to figure out how do you connect your bank to the exchange, or how do you do interact e-transfers to the exchange itself, and then how do those funds present themselves in the exchange so you can use. Third thing is how do you set up withdrawals and withdrawal addresses. This is why exchanges are so great, because a lot of the security is built in. They've done a lot of things when it comes to the user experience. So these aren't as bad to figure out. Whereas if you just try and figure out on hot wallet or cold wallet, sometimes it takes a lot more learning because it's not that intuitive, although they are getting much better. Okay, so the exchanges, they will have a section where it says withdrawal addresses. Now, when it comes to crypto.com, they will require that you put in the address. So if you see here, here's the address. They will require you to wait 24 hours so that the address can be validated. And then you can go ahead 24 hours later to actually initiate the withdrawal. Now, the withdrawal itself, takes several minutes, 20, 30 minutes, maybe an hour at most, but that's okay. So those are the 3 things I want you to learn from exchanges. Is you're going to learn how to track coins, again, Bitcoin and ETH only, how to set up deposits where you're actually sending your fiat money to the exchange, and then how to set up withdrawals. So where do you find the addresses, and then how do you actually input the address and make sure that you're putting them in the right place. The great thing about the exchanges, having 2 of them, is you can actually transfer funds from one exchange to the other, and it's relatively a safe process. So that is another plus. Number 3, hot wallet. You need one hot wallet.
I left my wallet in the solitary.
And the best one and most popular is MetaMask. MetaMask will have you go through this entire process of setting up the account, coming up with recovery phrases, and then you are good to go. Set up MetaMask. Check out my video up here. I go through the entire process of actually how to set that up. All right. Now, this is something, when you have the MetaMask, it's going to allow you to hold ETH and any ERC20 tokens. And what happens is then once you know how to transfer funds or input addresses from the exchanges, then you can find out what the address is for your MetaMask wallet, input that into your withdrawal address on the exchange, and then you can start moving funds from the exchange to your MetaMask. Do not try and move Bitcoin to MetaMask. They are not compatible. Bitcoin can only go into either a Bitcoin hot wallet, which we're not going to talk about here, or cold wallet. So number 4, cold wallet. You need a cold wallet.
I feel cold.
This is the very basics of learning investing in cryptocurrencies. And the main draw is the fact that you can hold your own assets. You can't do that anywhere else. Now, you can hold bricks of gold in your home. Where are you going to store it? How are you going to move it? And what's the process for getting it out of a bank or anywhere else and into your home? It's tedious. But when it comes to having crypto assets, it is so easy. You get your cold wallet. In this case, I'm saying it's Ledger. That's the one that I use. That is the best one to use. And what you do is you get the address, the receive address, you put that into your exchange, and for the account that you're going to withdraw, or the amount you're going to withdraw, is going to be in ETH or Bitcoin for now. And all you do is input the address there, initiate the withdrawal, and it shows up in your ledger, which is in your possession. Now, that ledger you need to keep very safe. Keep it on you, keep it in a vault somewhere, because if you lose that ledger, you've lost everything. There is no support that's going to get that back for you. And here's the thing, it's both a pro and a con. You get to own your assets, But at the same time, that means you are responsible for it. And if something happens, you cannot point the finger and say, this bank did this to me, that teller did something to me, that bank manager said this to me. It's on you. And so to me, that's a great pro. You have to be accountable, you have to be responsible. But for many, that's somewhat fearful. So while you're learning in the beginning and you're not investing with that much money, that's the time when you want to start learning how do you facilitate transfers between exchanges and your cold wallet and vice versa. And last but not least, tip number 5 when it comes to investing in cryptocurrencies, the basics. And I cannot stress this one enough. Reason being, because I made this mistake and I don't want you to make this mistake.
Why couldn't I just keep silent?
Don't talk about you trying to invest in cryptocurrencies with those who do not do that. Why do I say that? You're going to get a lot of snide remarks. You might get a lot of questions that you're not equipped to answer right now. And in the process of you trying to answer, you're going to get confused. You're going to feel frustrated that you don't know enough. And you may say, this isn't for me. Also, those around you who are not investing in cryptocurrencies still have their ear to mainstream media. As I mentioned in the beginning, that information diet, they're not on that same diet. So they're going to be hearing all the negativity and they're going to be putting that on you. And if something in the market happens, like an FTX, Celsius, a Voyager, a BlockFi, they're going to look at you and ask questions or act in a certain way and expect you to have some answers or to feel a certain type of way where you can defend yourself. You're not going to be equipped to that. And you may actually take things personally. I don't anymore. Things happen. You explain the process. If they want to accept it, cool. If not, you move on. But in the beginning, I used to get very personal. And I would tell everybody this is what I'm doing. They would question it. I would not be equipped to answer it very well. And you just go in that negative feedback loop, and it's not a great feeling. So I want you to avoid that. Just understand it's part of the maturing process of this industry. And this maturing process has happened in every other industry and continues to happen. Stock market, real estate, you name it. But when you're learning, you're so passionate about cryptos that you can't see the forest from the trees and you take things personal. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you found value, hit the like button, definitely subscribe. Let me know in the comment section below what part of investing has stopped you from actually getting into the game.